as a creature of superhuman evil was entombed in a wall of ice.
It all began with a curse.
One of you is a werewolf!
So we've gathered here once again in the basement of bluntzillavideo, and I got 3 films to talk about, and 2 of them are put out through a company called Amicus, which you may or may not be familiar with. They put out a shitload of amazing anthology films back in the 70s. So your Tales from the Crypt, your Vault of Horror, From Beyond the Grave, The House of Dirt Blood, Asylum, which is fucking awesome. Just these movies, like they're made for horror fans. Basically, if you like say like Creepshow and stuff like that, like, and you haven't watched these films from the 70s. I mean, if you're watching films from the 80s, you might as well fucking step back a decade, but let's say you haven't, checked them out because they are amazing. And Amicus put out other films that were not anthology films, and I had 2 of them that I haven't I've been sleeping on them, you know what I mean? I haven't watched them yet. Or if I've seen one of them or both of them, it was way back when I was a kid, because these films are from my dad's collection. So we're going to start this off with the film that I did see before, and that film is Horror Express. You know, we have the dynamic duo of horror that is Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee plays like this dude who's like on an expedition, and he comes across this frozen body, and they get it on this fucking train, and along the way, like right before the thing gets on a train, this dude gets killed, and like it's like this Asian dude. He kind of looks like a mobster kind of guy, and he gets killed, and his eyes just like turn white, and it's like, what the fuck kind of movie is this gonna be? So this thing gets on to the train, you know, inside of a box, and the movie is basically about this thing wreaking havoc, more or less, but it has one of the most interesting like character elements or character traits. Like, I don't really want to ruin it, but you need to watch this film because I think it's way ahead of its time. It's a really good I would say like sci-fi horror film, but it still has its gothic feel because you have Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, and you have this guy, I've seen him before, his name's Telly Savalas, and he's a bald dude, but he plays like this like Russian, because I should mention this thing, they find this thing in China, and then this train's like going through Siberia or somewhere in Russia, and he gets on and he plays like this asshole, and like he's gonna like fucking, you know, weed out the bad guy kind of thing. And it's unfortunate what happens to him and his crew, but they seem to be all right later on in the film. Like, you need to watch this film. Like, I don't want to spoil it, because the thing is with some of these films, all they have is their kind of like twist. I'm not saying these movies only have a twist. Like, these movies are great. I would recommend them to anybody, but you don't want to give certain shit away. Like, you don't want to give certain elements from, you know, like The Exorcist away to somebody that's never seen it before, you know what I mean? Or, you know, anything. Like, that's not really a great example, but I mean, like, you know, say a thought-provoking film. Like, you don't want to take a movie, like, just here's a modern-day film, Hereditary. You don't want to show that to somebody for the first time and be like, oh, by the way, the fucking, you know, and just spoil that film. I mean, if you haven't seen Hereditary at this point, then you must be like an old-school purist, you know what I mean? Like, I think my uncle watched it, and he's an old-school purist, but I think he said he enjoyed it. I really like Hereditary, but we'll leave it at that. Horror Express is a film you need to check out. Great special effects. You know, lots of great bloody parts, you know what I mean? And it takes place on a train, so you could double feature this with Silver Streak with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor and have a fucking awesome time. That's actually sounds like a good fucking night to me. So moving ahead, we got The Beast Must Die. Yes, this is a film from 1974, and it's a werewolf film, and it stars Peter Cushing along with Calvin Lockhart, who's the lead in this film, and he plays like this millionaire hunter kind of guy. And it starts off almost like, if you've ever read the story The Most Dangerous Game, we read that shit in school, and it's basically about like a guy that's like hunting people on an island. So this guy, this Calvin Lockhart, his name's Tom, I think, in the film, but he plays this dude who lures he doesn't lure them, but he gets all these people in his mansion, almost like a house on haunted hills sort of fashion, you know what I mean, where like these people are all kind of connected in one way. So basically the conceit of the film, or like the idea of it, is he thinks one of them is a werewolf and he wants to hunt them. So he rigs up his entire property with all of these insane like cameras and microphones, like stuff that's impressive for even the 70s. Honestly, I don't know if they had video like in 74. Like, did they have video? Like, I know they had surveillance cameras, but what was it recording to Who the fuck knows? We'll have to look that one up. But this movie is a whodunit kind of mystery film. It's almost like The Thing kind of thing, you know what I mean? And like they almost have a thing that's kind of like with John Carpenter's The Thing. There's the famous scene that I talk about all the time where they're testing the blood, like, and you can almost smell the blood cooking. Like that's honest to God, this is no bullshit. I'm not just saying this to have a cool story. The first time I seen The Thing or anything to do with The Thing, that was the scene I walked in on. My fucking stepdad, may he rest in peace, was watching it, and I was like, what the fuck is this? So in the movie The Beast Must Die, he passes around a silver, the hell is it? It's like a candlestick holder, basically. And it's kind of funny because the one guy's like, is this silver? And then the fucking dude, the millionaire guy's like, of course. And like, it's fucking out of hand, but they all kind of do that. And then they do another trick where he puts a silver bullet in all their mouths to see if it does anything. And it's quite the film, and it does have a twist. It has a part in the film that apparently the director wasn't a big fan of. I don't know if it was the director wasn't a big fan or the writer or somebody on the higher ups but wasn't high up enough, rather, you know what I mean. But I guess he didn't like it. But near, in the middle of the third act, there's a part that comes up where it's like, this is the werewolf break, and it's like almost like who's the werewolf? Is it this guy? Is it him? One of those kind of numbers. And I don't mind it. I don't think it's that bad. I like when these films from yesteryear, from back then, have these cool kind of gimmicks. Like, you hear about all these stories about like the Tingler, like going to see the Tingler, and they have those things on the back of the seats, and these spook shows of like the 60s and the 70s and stuff, where like people would be like running through the theater with fucking blankets and shit, dressed as ghosts, like all that kind of stuff, like when there was like lifeblood in it, you know what I mean? I mean, I wouldn't be happy if there was motherfuckers running through the theater, to be perfectly honest with you at all, but it's a different time back then. But The Beast Must Die is a must watch, if you ask me, put out by Amicus. Now, the final film we're going to talk about, also put out by Amicus, is And Now the Screaming Starts. I gotta shout out Danny B at the Trash Stash with this film, because, dude, if you haven't seen this movie, you need to watch this shit, because this film is a gothic rape revenge movie. All right, so I'm not like trying to be like, oh, rape revenge is like a great fucking thing to be proud to say you enjoy, but like when it in terms of make believe movies, I'm fine with it, and this movie is great. Okay, it's great. Like, the thing is, I gotta point out with these three movies, even though they all have Peter Cushing in them, they're all Peter Cushing in his later years. You know what I mean? Like, he looks like how he looks in Star Wars, basically, which is old. You know what I mean? Because you got to think back in, what was it, the Hammer films. When the fuck did I got this really badass box set that my fucking girlfriend bought me. Check this shit out. I might have shown this before, but see if I'll go like that, and then you can check out the titles, or I'll just rate them to you, rather. That'll be funner. So we got Christopher Lee in Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, Taste the Blood of Dracula, Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed, The Curse of Frankenstein, Horror of Dracula, and The Mummy. And I like the way they have these separated, because they have them separated, Christopher Lee films, Peter Cushing, and then when they were together, which I think is awesome. Now the screaming starts. This movie is all about, like I said, it's a rape revenge film. It's all about this woman who gets married to this rich sort of baron guy. You know what I mean? He's not a baron, but he's that kind of dude. And he's got all these paintings of his family all over the house. And as he's walking her through, they get to this one painting of his grandfather, and this fucking hand shoots out. And it's like, holy shit. Like, when I first watched it, I was like, damn. So this hand comes out of the painting, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell's going on? And then all of a sudden, she looks again, and the hand is gone. And she keeps seeing this like face with these two. It's like a dude's face who looks like the dude from Titanic and also from The Omen. I don't think it is the same guy, but it basically looks like that guy. And he has like these two things over his eyes, and you find out what those are later on in the film. I'm not going to spoil that, because this is a film you got to check out, because it is cool, and it is twisty, and it is turny, and it makes you think. But there's some impressive, I guess, animatronics. It looks way better than stop motion. So it's got like these animatronics from the 70s, man. Like, they like stuff crawling. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, this has been bluntzillavideo, and thanks for watching. Adios. Ding. I like doing that ding thing now.